All right, hello again, everybody. Welcome to our continued topic here, lifespan development. So today we'll be looking at the development of cognition in children. So objectives and standards today to recognize how knowing changes and explains conservation and different stages of it. And just take a look at that standard there, please. We have a couple of vocab words. Schema is a conceptual framework a person uses to make sense of the world. Assimilation is the process of fitting objects and experiences into a person's schema. Accommodation is adjusting one's schemas to include newly observed experiences and events. Object permanence is a child realizes an object exists even if they cannot see it. Representational thought is intellectual ability of a child to imagine something in their mind. Conservation is the principle that a given quantity does not change when its appearance has changed. And egocentric is the idea that a child cannot understand another person's perspective. And our desired result, what cognitive skills do children develop? So Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget, again I'm trying my best at that name, realized that intelligence grows as children do. He studied babies and young children playing for many years, and he concluded that younger and older children think differently. Now, understanding the word, like we said in the beginning during the vocab, is involving the construction of schemas. So we develop schemas at a very young age. Assimilation allows for the adding of new objects to prior schemas. And the concept of accommodation allows schemas to change to allow for new objects. So I put a picture of a blocks here, and the example I want to give you is a child will, when it's an infant, may realize that they can stack blocks. The blocks are hard or things like that, and that they can stack them. They can stack them on top of each other. An event, maybe you give a child 2 blocks at first, and then you're able, the child continues to grow 3-4 blocks and they continue to stack them. This can change for the child. Like if you give the child then an empty bin or an empty toy box, and the child may say, oh well, it looks like a block, it feels like a block, I can probably stack something on top of it. Well, the child will then try to stack the blocks on top of the open toy chest or bin, and the blocks will fall through. Obviously, the blocks will fall through into the bin or into the toy box, and then the child then realizes, oh, okay, well, I can't stack things on top of this because, yes, it's a block, but it's not type of block. It's not the same block I'm thinking of. So, again, it's having a prior conceived notion of something and then realizing that something has changed to make it different. Now, seeing objects. Now, a toy held by a child exists in the present moment. If you give a child a teddy bear or a ball, that child knows, okay, I have that toy for that exact moment. And what they don't know, that if they do not see the object, they believe it has stopped to exist. So if you put the ball away or hide the doll, the child does not realize that it's just hiding. They believe that it's gone forever. It doesn't exist anymore. Now, children may react to this in different ways. Many times they do not look for it when they're young, when they're infants. They may simply play with another toy or look for something else to play with, or they'll cry. A lot of times kids will cry as well. Now, a child between the age of 7 and 12 months will look for the toy if you hide it in front of them, so under a blanket. So if you put the toy under the blanket and show the child that that's where the toy is hidden, the child will then lift up the blanket and say, oh, okay, there's the toy. However, if you were to take the toy and pretend to put it under the blanket and then sneakily put the toy behind your back, when the child lifts the blanket up and the toy's not there, well, that child's not going to understand that you probably moved the toy. The child's going to think, well, why isn't the toy under the blanket? I know you just put the toy there. Why is it still not under the blanket? The child at 12 to 18 months will continue to search under the blanket when the toy is not there. So 7 to 12 months, they'll look under it. If they don't see it, or you've moved it, they move on. Child at 12 to 18 months, well, you can continue to lift up the blanket and continue to look for it. They'll put the blanket back down, they'll lift it back up, they'll put the blanket back down, they'll lift it back up again, and they'll continue to do this for quite some time. Now, children, at 18 to 24 months will guess that you may have hidden the toy somewhere else. So if you have the toy behind your back and it's not under the blanket, the child may, peek around your back, or maybe look under somewhere else for the toy, maybe look, under the couch or under the bed or something like that. So the child will guess that you have hidden the toy somewhere else or moved the toy somewhere else. And this is a big change that occurs during the second year of life. Now, a child developing object permanence signifies the beginning of representational thought. Sorry, that should say representational. Let's put an A and an L there. There we go. Representational thought. Children begin to imagine things in their minds, so they start to see things and realize, different images can allow them to do or see different things. Piaget witnessed this with his own daughter when his daughter saw another family member, I believe, throw a temper tantrum somewhere, and his daughter had never thrown a temper tantrum, and the next day his daughter, after having that image in her head, decided to throw a temper tantrum herself. So Piaget says that children will imagine things and learn things after seeing others do it as well. Now, during the early years of life, between 5 and 7, children will develop something called conservation. Now, prior to this, children are egocentric, meaning that children will not understand another person's view or perspective. They think that their way and their view is the correct way. And I put a picture up here for you. I have 2 glasses. So if we give a child before the age of 5 to 7 years 2 glasses of water, and you ask the child how much, what glass has more water in it. Well, the child will obviously say that both glasses have the same amount of water. If I take a different glass and pour 1 glass of water into a taller glass that looks like that, I haven't changed the amount of the water. There's still the same amount of water in that glass, right? But I've just put it in a taller, skinnier glass, so it looks like there's more water. Well, that child will then, if you ask the child again, which glass has more water, the child will say that the taller glass has more water because they only see it as, well, that glass is taller, and it looks like there's more water in there, so therefore that must have more water. They don't understand that I only simply moved the water to a taller, skinnier glass. It still has the same amount of water. Now, Piaget determined there are 4 stages of cognitive development. Sensory-motor stage is birth at 2 years old, and this is when infants are using their body and senses to create schemas. Again, using the building blocks to stack and know that they're hard, they're not soft. We know, they'll begin to realize that there are hard things, there are soft things, there are cold things, there are wet things. They begin to realize that and feel around and sense those things. Pre-operational occurs 2 to 7 years old, and this is when a child uses mental images or symbols to understand things. Again, throwing a temper tantrum, understanding that you've hidden the toy, behind your back, or understand that the toy is not gone forever. The toy's just been put in the toy box. It hasn't disappeared. This is also when we have the disagreement with conservation. Children don't understand that there may be the same amount of liquid in a glass, even if I just move things around. Concrete operations occur 7 to 11 years old. This is when children begin to get the idea of conservation a little bit, realizing that, the glasses have the same amount of water, even if I move the water to another glass that's taller and skinnier. So this is when a child is using logical schemas, but their understanding is still limited. They don't really have that abstract thinking yet. They're not really able to solve complex problems. And then formal operations occur 11 years old to adulthood, and this is when a child can solve abstract problems and apply abstract solutions to real-life problems. So those are the 4 stages that Piaget came up with. Alright everyone, so remember for our closure, what cognitive skills do children develop? Think about what Piaget was talking about, some of the different skills that children develop, such as conservation and other things like that. And remember to include that information in your weekly summary chart. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Talk to you soon.